Whoa!
Hello, everyone. This is Hoodie D here from the GCA. I'm joined by my fellow co-host, the legendary ABF. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing great.
What movie did we just get out of?
Alien Romulus.
That's right. We're going to talk about it for a little bit here. I am a huge fan of the Alien franchise. I have been ever since I was a kid, and my father showed me the first and second movie, and then that led me into Alien vs. Predator and all of that fun stuff. So when I heard that they were making a new Alien movie, I was very skeptical. But then I heard it was Fede Alvarez. I might be saying his name wrong. I apologize if that's the case. But he did the Evil Dead remake, which I thought was fantastic. He did Don't Breathe, which is a very good thriller. So I had some faith. And this was, in my opinion, a pretty solid movie. We're going to talk about it. As far as the plot, I'm not going to get too deep into the plot and spoilers because we do plan on doing another video talking about the plot and breaking down the lore and the characters. So as far as the plot, I'm just going to be very to the point here. This movie follows a character named Rain and her adopted android brother and her space colonists. They work on this mining colony. There's no sun. You live for 2 years and die if you're working in the mines. Absolutely terrible living conditions. And they're looking for a way out. They want a way out, find a better life. And they're presented with an opportunity to go to this space station and find some cryopods to make this trip to this planet that is how far away was it, ABF? Like 65 light years?
No, I thought it was like 9 or 10 light years, but it's still
Okay.
like too long just to be hanging out on a ship for.
Yeah. So they had
Yeah.
to get these cryopods and to make the journey, and that's what their goal was. Of course, being an alien movie though, it's not going to be that simple. This movie picks off right where the first one ended. Big Chap is floating around in space, and the company finds him. They bring him to a space station. He kills most of the staff, and the robot that's controlling this project is not fully dead, and we learn what happened on this space station. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole lore and the plot details. I'm going to specifically focus on the movie and my thoughts. This was an alien movie to the core. Horror, right amount of action, not any funny business, no messaging. It was very to the point, and the portrayal of the xenomorph in this movie was on point, in my opinion. It was scary, it was fast. I was, in some scenes, jump scared, nervous, didn't know what was going to come next. How did you feel about the portrayal overall of the xenomorph in this movie?
I thought they were awesome. In fact, it was interesting how they made them clever too, without spoiling the alien is trying to trick them at certain points, which really added like a different dynamic to it. But yeah,
Absolutely.
they were scary, they were gross looking, and it was realistic.
One thing I really appreciated was that this pulled different aspects from the whole franchise. The movies, of course, it pulled things from the video games. So if anyone has played Alien Isolation, this is like a live action version of that game. It is, you can tell that the space station was very inspired by the levels in that game, the level design, the map design. It looked just like the game. I couldn't believe it was like a one for one recreation of the sets. It was actually real sets, not CGI. So I did appreciate that. It harkens back for sure to the original, um, but it's still sneaking in new stuff there. There is some new lore drops. Again, I'm not going to get too much into that. Uh, if you are a fan of the Alien franchise, I think you'll like this movie overall. There are some things that are not so great. Unfortunately, the characters are very, very thin. You don't really care for them. At least I didn't. Did you?
So my opinion on it is that this relationship that the main character had with the android kind of like kneecapped any sort of character development in the movie because they kind of focused on that, and it wasn't interesting, or at least interesting enough to where it made me care about the characters more. I think that was the major issue with it. But yeah, it's probably the biggest flaw is the character development.
It 100% is the biggest flaw, because in all of the Alien movies, regardless of the quality of the movie, you remember the characters in those movies, whether it's Hicks, Ripley, of course, even Ron Perlman's character in shitty Alien Resurrection. You remember the characters, and in this movie, I don't care to remember any of them. So that part unfortunately sucks. It's one of the only areas, in my opinion, that the movie's lacking, though. It does make up for it with the aliens. The face huggers in this movie were creepy as hell.
That's
The
because
way
they
they
actually made real animatronic ones that would actually run around.
and it's awesome, man. Like
Yeah.
the way they were running after them, I was like, holy shit.
In fact, some of them they made swim too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because that scene in the water with the face
Mm-hmm.
huggers was really, really well done.
Yep.
So that's cool. We showed on the last GCA stream, they had the animatronic of the actual alien, which you could tell in the movie that, yeah, they did some CGI, of course, for like the running and the movement, but when it was actually just on the screen, you could tell it was not CG, which I appreciated. It looked awesome.
Yeah. Pure CGA is what I'm always against. When you have a combination of something real to play off of, that's how it looks realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I also think the director paid respect to what came before without just completely doing his own thing, which I've seen happen a lot with these types of franchises. Look at the Predator 2018, absolute shit show of a movie that shouldn't be in the Predator franchise. So to see this getting treated as it should, getting generally good reviews, I have seen some people have their problems giving it bad reviews, but I think this is a good future for the franchise with the getting these reviews. I think it had a $40 million opening weekend projected, which is pretty damn good for this type of franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So going forward, I hope we have some momentum in this franchise. With, of course, Disney owns this property now, so who knows what that'll be like.
And one thing I want to add is I do take issue with the ending. I'm not going to say what it is or anything, but it doesn't hurt the prospect of a sequel to this movie. I didn't care for the actual ending. Is all.
Okay, no, that's an interesting point, and we're gonna get into that in our next video. There is a ton of lore drops in this movie that connect to not only Alien, but Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which I was not expecting. Those movies are very, very divisive. People love them,
Mm-hmm.
people hate them. I'm in the camp, I'm kind of in the middle. There's some good and bad in Prometheus and Covenant, but to see that kind of be reintroduced into the main Alien movies was kind of a interesting choice. I don't know if that's going to pay off for them in the long term because, again, Prometheus and Alien Covenant were so divisive. What do you think about that?
I actually liked Prometheus, despite a lot of people not liking it, but I didn't like Covenant. I thought that was definitely the wrong direction. I like Danny McBride and all, but he didn't need to be in that movie.
I love Danny McBride.
Me too. Just a little bit of a strange decision.
Definitely. So, if you see this movie, you're gonna obviously see some throwbacks to Prometheus, which might confuse you at first. Definitely threw me for a loop. I was looking stuff up after the movie, trying to connect dots with different things, and so yeah, there's definitely a lot there to talk about as far as lore. which we will be doing. Me, ABF, and Multi Muldi will be doing that video. But overall, this movie is a love letter to the franchise, in my opinion. You could tell the director really put care and thought into this. I'm not sure what the budget was, but they did a great job with what they had.
I'm actually not sure what the budget is. I'll have to look into it.
And one scene I have to highlight that me personally, probably not everyone's going to feel this way, and that's okay. One of the coolest scenes we've had in a sci-fi movie in years occurs in this film, where there's a zero gravity sequence and our main character is shooting some aliens with a pulse rifle, and their acid blood is just floating around, and they have to float around and dodge the acid blood. I thought
Because
that
they're
was
in
amazing.
they're in zero G while the
Yeah.
acid blood's going on. Yeah.
So they're just floating around trying to avoid this, acid blood, because of course it's gonna go right through you. And it was just a really cool idea that hasn't been executed before. So I thought that was awesome, and I appreciated something new like that. Again, I think it's something really in the past 10 years in sci-fi movies, probably the coolest thing I've seen.
Yeah, and to go even further too, they give us new lore on the pulse rifle itself, which I think is pretty cool. Because
And the pulse rifle sounded badass.
yep, it's got that like burst fire, super fast RPM. It's awesome.
It's awesome. And in Aliens, it sounds amazing. But in this
Mhm.
movie, it's like they added more bass to it. I don't know how to describe it. It just sounded awesome.
I don't. Yeah, they did something to it. It does sound incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing. So um overall, I enjoyed the movie very much. I think some people are being a little too harsh on it, and I don't know if that's because they expected something different or if they wanted it to just be, a one for one of the original. I'm not quite sure. Overall, I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10. I think it's very solid. Not just an alien movie, it's a solid horror movie. So even if, you're taking someone to see this, they haven't seen any previous alien movies, it's a good horror movie. Now, obviously, they're not going to understand the lore and what's going on, but it's a great film in my opinion. What do you think, ABF?
I'm gonna have to give it like a 7 out of 10. It checked all the sci-fi boxes for me as far as like spaceships and all the different mechanical stuff that you typically see in like a sci-fi movie. They kept the computers just like they were in the 80s films with the actual push buttons and
Yep.
everything. I thought that was really cool. But there was the character development really brought it down.
I could see that. That was the worst part of the movie for me. I had genuinely had a good time with the dark, creepy, corridors of the space station, not knowing what's going to be around the corner, face huggers chasing people, aliens bursting out of chests. I love the whole thing. So go see it. It's a great movie, and we will be doing another video getting into the plot and lore. So that'll be a longer video. Check that out when we drop it. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.
Bye.